In mid-December of 2022, the Working Group on Amendments for the International Health Regulations first published a 197-page document which included over 300 proposed amendments to the International Health Regulations. They republished that document on February 6, 2023. For nearly 3 months, the mainstream, the alternative media, and politicians around the world have either mischaracterized, misrepresented, or completely ignored the proposed amendments from a number of nations around the world that are designed to enslave humanity in a digital prison. Let me review just some of these proposed amendments. On page 29 of the 197-page document, the Czech Republic, on behalf of the 27 member nations of the European Union, proposed the institution of digital passenger locator forms, which would essentially institute contact tracing for all travelers around the world. In addition to these proposed amendments to Article 23, the Czech Republic, on behalf of the 27 member nations of the European Union, pretty much doubled down and repeated that under Article 35. In Article 36, they expanded on the idea to include test certificates, recovery certificates, vaccination, and prophylaxis certificates. In their proposed amendments to Annex 6, they made it clear that these certificates would be issued in digital or paper form, and in their most egregiously horrible, unconscionable proposed amendment, they proposed that signatures by the parent for a child or by the guardian or witness for an illiterate person would not be required in the digital format. I will leave it to the viewer to comprehend the ramifications of a global digital health certificate that would not require a parent or guardian signature. On page 67, the proposed amendment from India would include documents containing information for a laboratory test in digital or physical format. On page 83, Indonesia also specified that these new certificates would be in digital or paper format and would require a QR code. On page 169, the Russian Federation, on behalf of the member states of the Eurasian Economic Union, mirrored India's proposed amendments to include laboratory tests. And finally, on pages 194 and 195, Uruguay, on behalf of the member states of the Southern Common Market, proposed a new Traveler's Health Declaration that would provide better information about travel itinerary in order to facilitate contact tracing. In addition, Uruguay also proposed, and I quote, "When a public health emergency of international concern has been declared for the purposes of entry and exit of international travelers in a scenario of voluntary vaccination using products still at the research phase or subject to very limited availability, vaccination certificates should be considered approved." And they also proposed 2 scenarios. The maximum scenario being a certification of vaccination history via QR code in digital or paper format that directs to the official site of the country of origin to retrieve the vaccination information. In what is absolutely a clear attack on privacy and health freedom, we the people around the world must stand up against these proposed amendments to the International Health Regulations. Please be aware that anyone who mentions the word treaty is talking about a different document. These proposed amendments are nowhere to be found in the proposed pandemic treaty. These are found in the 197-page document published by the Working Group on Amendments to the International Health Regulations. These amendments can be adopted during the World Health Assembly via the consensus feature often used at the Assembly whereby a document is submitted for consideration and can be adopted by the simple silence of all of the delegates at the Assembly. Anyone who insists on engaging in a theoretical argument about the proper means by which the Senate would give its advice and consent in regards to a treaty is clearly misunderstanding the situation that is very, very different regarding the means by which proposed amendments to the international health regulations are to be adopted. At the 75th World Health Assembly in May of 2022, amendments were adopted in this manner. No signature by a prime minister or president was required, and no advice and consent from the Senate or any other parliamentary body was sought. This type of adoption of proposed amendments happened last year, it could happen again this year, or it could happen next year. Silence equals consent. We must speak up loudly against these proposed amendments that seek to enslave humanity in a digital prison. For more information, please visit rejectdigitalenslavement.com.